Hello, beautiful souls, and welcome back to your next episode. Last week, we touched on meditation. We went into meditation and the different levels that we slip through in meditation. And those are the last 4 limbs of yoga. That is pratyahara, which we said was withdrawal of senses. Dhyana, concentration, one-pointed awareness. Dhyana, meditation on the divine. And the 4th one being samadhi, union. So we're going to go deeper into meditation. Firstly, what we're going to do is we're going to look at a whole lot of different techniques that we can use to help us to get into meditation, because everybody knows it's very difficult to just sit down and silence the mind and hold it on one point for long periods of time. So we want to train the mind into getting into that space of, oh, it's this time. And there are a lot of techniques that we can use, and we're going to share some of those with you because everybody is not the same. There's no one size fits all. As I said, some people might like mantras, some might like breath work, some might like candle gazing. There are many techniques. So what I'm going to do is I am going to be referring back to my notes. I was taught by my teacher in the principles of Swami Saraswati that had the experience while living at an ashram with his guru, Swami Sivananda. And that was in Rishikesh in India. He had an experience there which changed his life forever, and that was the birth of Yoga Nidra. So I'd like to refer back to the notes specifically so that I can keep as close to the subject as it is in its essence. That's very important because it's a very beautiful subject and a very, very important subject, although it's not that well practiced, and I'd like to bring out why it is so important. The reason for that is, as you all know, I went through anxiety and depression many, many years ago. I went very deeply into the mind. I studied everything that I could, and I was without work and everything. So I had all the time in the world for many years. And even when I started teaching yoga, I was only teaching 2 times a day in the beginning and then 3 times a day. So I had lots of time. I went into psychology. I went into hypnosis. I went into all sorts of things. But when I came across the practice, it was meditation also. And when I came across the practice of Yoga Nidra, I found the utmost value and importance of the subject, because what's happening there is we are releasing psychic scars, reprogramming in the mind. I'm going to go into all of that so that we can see life differently. And yeah, it's just such a powerful practice. So from there, I went on to studying hypnosis and all sorts of things to bring it together. But the first day I did the practice of Yoga Nidra, something inside me knew this was going to heal me, and something inside me knew this was going to where I was going to dedicate my life to. And when I healed, I dedicated my life to teaching this subject. So I'm going to just read what Swami Saraswati said about Yoga Nidra. He said, "It is the science of relaxation, to dive deep into the subconscious, to release and relax mental tension and bring harmony to the operation of our multidimensional being, mind, body, emotion, soul, and everything else." Remember in the beginning we said that if they are not working in harmony and they're working against each other, clashing against each other, we land up fragmented, alienated, and in darkness. And this is where a lot of people are sitting at the moment. So it's the science of relaxation. Yoga, the whole subject, all 8 limbs, is the science of the mind. And the Yoga Nidra takes you into the last 4, which is the how to relax the mind to get into these states. So he said that he explains that there are 3 types of tension, and I'm going to get into that in just a moment. He said it's a powerful technique to learn to relax consciously. Most things that we do in life, we're not doing consciously or mindfully, okay? And it's to learn how to relax consciously besides everything else that we're doing. And that will bring us into more one-pointed awareness or mindfulness in our day, okay? The word Yoga Nidra comes from 2 Sanskrit words, yoga, which means to unite, merge, yoke, or it also means one-pointed awareness, when we can hold our mind on one point. That means that we are taking control of the mind, of the thoughts and the emotions, so that we can live in lasting peace, okay? Nidra means to sleep. So it is dynamic sleep, because for true relaxation, one must remain aware, not necessarily awake, but it's better to be awake, okay? But aware. During the practice, one appears to be asleep, but consciousness is happening on a much deeper level. Now, I'm very blessed to be in the position to be a teacher of this subject and a teacher trainer, because I get to experience this time and time and time again. So for me, it is truth. And my students that come here and learn it from me often get to experience it also while we're doing the Yoga Nidra practice with the other students that slip in and out of these states. So one of the examples is, as I'm coming to the end of the Yoga Nidra, I always say, and now bring your awareness back to your body. Feel your body and the position of your body lying on the floor. Bring your awareness to your arms and legs. Slowly begin to make small movements in preparation for sitting up. And then I go through those preparations. Now, in that time, I could have people that are snoring as I'm going through that, but their subconscious mind knows how long they can stay and enjoy before I make them sit up. So they'll snore and I'll say, begin to move your fingers and toes. And they'll carry on snoring. And I'll say, stretch your hands and feet. And they carry on snoring. Stretch your arms and legs. And they carry on snoring. Take your arms above their head and they go, and they raise their arms up. And it's an amazing thing, because they know I'm going to say, turn over to your right-hand side. And when you're ready, come sitting up. And they know that they'll still be there. So on a deeper level, they're hearing what I'm saying, and they know when to come out, how to enjoy it to the max before they have to come out. Another experience that I have is often people will be here and they'll be going into the Yoga Nidra. And at the end, the students will sit up and they'll go, wow, Jen, I love that one about the waterfall. It just made me feel so fresh and just feeling the cleansing of my aura and everything else. And somebody will sit up and go, what waterfall? I didn't hear anything about a waterfall. Okay. And they'll say to me, I also want to hear the story. And I'll say, it's going to happen over the weeks. You're here for 3 weeks. It's going to happen somewhere. And a couple of days in, they're still not hearing the story. And they'll go, this is not fair. I also want to hear the story. And I say, no, what you've got to understand is that you are close to burnout. Some of them have come here with that. And what's happening is you are relaxing your mind and emotions on such a deep level that is healing the parasympathetic nervous system. The parasympathetic nervous is weakened, and that's why you're suffering from insomnia. This practice is giving it the food that it wants, so it just suddenly just sucks and takes in as much as it can and goes as deep as it can. And funny enough, they say that they sleep 2 to 3 hours a night. Sometimes they say that they never, ever, ever sleep in the day. And as we're going through the 3 weeks, in the first couple of days, they'll say, Jen, I can't keep my eyes open. Can we take a break between 3 and 4 this afternoon so I can just have a nap? They say, I can't understand this. I say, yes, go and nap. Because the mind and emotions are calling for that relaxation, that rest, okay? So, and then at dinner time already, 7 o'clock, they're falling asleep at the food table because their body is just enjoying taking in all that relaxation. So then we get towards a week or 2 in, and everybody knows at the end, I'll say, see a white light coming down from above. See the white light creating a cocoon of white healing light within and all around you. And now feel yourself bathing in that cocoon of white healing light, feeling the vibration of love within and out you. And they'll wake up and go, I heard the story. I heard the story. I heard about the light coming down, and I saw the bubble around me, and I was feeling the love around me. And everyone sits and looks at them and goes, but you were snoring the whole way through that. And I go, this is what I'm talking about. It appears as though the person is asleep, but consciousness is happening on a deeper level of awareness. And we get to experience many other things like this, which makes it very real for the students. And that is why once they've been here, they are so hooked on the Yoga Nidra. It is such a huge subject, as I said, and there are people more focused on Asana, but this needs to come into our teaching because of what we're going through in the world, with the world being in such disarray and people not knowing where we're going. Our minds and emotions need that help. So for this reason, it is referred to as psychic sleep or deep relaxation with inner awareness. Psychologists, psychiatrists, science in general, and yogis agree that there are 3 states of mind. The first one is beta, which is your conscious state that you're operating when you are awake, your awake state out in the external world. Theta is your light sleep state, and delta is your deep sleep state. Now, in Yoga Nidra, what we're doing here is we're taking you and creating a state which is between beta and theta, the awake and light sleep state. And what's happening there is we're taking to what is called siddhi consciousness. Siddhi consciousness in English is alpha state, and it feels like you're actually drifting in and out between beta and theta. And a lot of my students say to me, I feel that. I feel myself coming in and out. In fact, sometimes it feels like your voice has gone away, but when I come out, I'll hear your voice. And sometimes people will say to me, what happened to this chakra and that chakra? You skipped it out. And everyone goes, no, she didn't. So they're actually going in and out of that state, but they'll come back in a later chakra in the meditation, in the Yoga Nidra. So as I said, we experience these things all the time. And they say, I can actually feel myself drifting in and out. And that is a very, very powerful state, because in that state, anything impressed upon the mind remains there. It becomes very powerful and it remains there, which means that we can, as I said, in the subconscious mind, pour in all the new information, the fresh information, let the old stuff overflow and come out and create a whole new way we see and react to life. So Swami said, in Yoga Nidra, we attain the scientific definition of relaxation by turning inward, away from the outer experience, hence why the eyes have to be closed. So a lot of people say they feel they go into meditation when they're cycling. A lot of people say you can do a meditation anywhere, anytime, even if your eyes are open. That is not a meditation for ultimate scientific relaxation. It is more mindfulness, which is a practice towards meditation. And because the external senses have to be withdrawn completely, eyes have to be closed, so on. So if consciousness can be separated from our external awareness and from sleep, it becomes very powerful. As I said, it can be applied in many ways, and one of them is removing past traumas. Secondly, it can develop memory. It can increase knowledge and creativity, and I can testify by that for sure. It can ultimately, what it's ultimately used for is to transform one's nature. This brings us to the 5th limb of yoga, which is pratyahara, and we were speaking about that the other day. So here the mind and the mental awareness are dissociated from our sensory channels: sight, sound, touch, taste, hear, and smell. Yoga Nidra takes us into pratyahara, withdrawal of senses, which then slips into higher states of concentration, dharana, dhyana, worship on the divine, and into samadhi, which is merge. So this brings us to the birth of Yoga Nidra, and it's a lovely story. Swami Saraswati went to live at an ashram with Swami Sivananda, and he was given the job to guard the little boys' school, which was on the same premises. He used to go down at 6 o'clock in the afternoon or evening, and he would return at 6 o'clock in the morning. Now, unbeknown to him, the little boys would get up, they'd have their shower, and go down to the school and practice their mantras from 4 o'clock to 6 o'clock. And then they would go back to the ashram also. A little bit later, he was invited to watch a recital that was happening at the ashram, and it was the little boys that were going to be chanting. He went in, and as they started chanting, something strange happened. He realized that he recognized it and it was very familiar. The tunes, the scriptures that were being chanted, and everything else. And he sat there for a moment and he just thought, where did I learn this? Where on earth does this come from? And he tried to go back to all his other teachings, his schools, his everything he'd been on to remember where he had learned this, but there was nothing. And afterwards, he went to the little boy's guru and said to them, explained what had happened. And he said, is this possible? And the guru said, yes, it's very possible, because you go and you guard the school from 6 in the evening till 6 in the morning. The boys go and practice their mantras from 3 to 6. They get up at 3 and they practice from 4 to 6. And you possibly have gone into sleep. And he thought, wow, this is something else. What he actually said was, this was a great revelation for me. I knew that knowledge is transmitted directly through the senses, but from this experience, I came to the conclusion that you can also gain direct knowledge without any sensory medium as well. That was the birth of Yoga Nidra. From that experience, further ideas and insights came to mind. I realized that sleep was not a state of total unconsciousness. When one is asleep, there remains a state of potentiality, a form of awareness that is awake and fully alert to the outer situation. I found by training the mind, it is possible to utilize this state. And that is extremely powerful. So, yeah, what he did from there, he started practice, firstly on himself, doing experiments. Then he did it on different people. From there, what he did is an Alsatian dog, and then many, many children and his disciples, giving them all knowledge, experience, and instruction while sleeping soundly. So I think we're going to wrap it up for today, and we'll go into the next little experience that he had with it, which is all exciting. Have a beautiful week and see you soon.